children and children of the future. I'm on skinhead, you know. Me not Nazi, me not Ku Klux Klan, no. So me no racist. I mean skinhead, you know. Just skinhead.
For our race, for our culture, and for those great grandchildren of that little girl out there, you've got to break the rules. Hail victory! We will break! We will break! Break the
The skinhead movement has been in existence for almost 40 years. Every time skinheads are mentioned in the news, it is in connection with violence, hate, and fascism. But where do they come from? Who are they really? With this film, I want to tell the true story of this movement and of its paradoxes.
Nice to be here singing. For those people out there who don't know, this is Sky!
I mean, I think the skinhead is in there more than anything. First, to be a skinhead, you must love your Dr. Martens. You must love ska music. You must have a right attitude, and right attitude from the heart and the brain. You must like football. You must like to dance harder than anybody else of any subculture. And most of all, I think you need to be anti-racist. Thank you.
Alors, je m'appelle Carole, j'ai 22 ans. Je suis skinhead girl depuis 3-4 ans. Pour moi, être skinhead, c'est toute une manière de vivre. C'est aimer la musique, boire de la bière avec les copains, le look. On aime bien ressembler à quelque chose qui a de la classe. Ça fait partie, c'est tout un mythe dont on a le nostalgie, quoi, et dont on veut garder un peu l'esprit.
When I met Carol for the first time, she had just returned from Alaska, where she had worked as an au pair girl for a year. She was unemployed and had time on her hands. Carol is clearly a modern skinhead girl. She joined the movement at the age of 18 after having been a punk, and her story is the same as that of many traditional skinheads. She's working class and refuses extremism. She is a skinhead in spite of the weight of clichés and preconceived ideas.
Les gens s'interrogent évidemment. Maintenant, ils vont pas tous le prendre bien. Il y en a qui vont te dire non, mais attends, je connais mieux que toi. Les skinheads, j'ai vu ça à la télé. C'est des néo-nazis, c'est des machins habillés militaires et puis qui ziguent à longueur d'année. Maintenant, il y en a d'autres qui sont intéressés, surpris, qui t'écoutent, quoi. Ce qu'il y a, c'est que c'est un peu énervant à chaque fois de reprendre toute l'histoire, de tout raconter aux gens pour se justifier, pour dire non, je suis pas néo-nazi, je suis pas de croix gammée tatouée, enfin... Moi, je suis traditionnelle, skin girl traditionnelle, j'aime le ska, j'aime le reggae. Je suis une grosse nostalgique de la période du début des skins, fin 60, début 70. Dans les musiciens, on avait Sima Rip, on avait Laurel Etken, on avait des tas de rude boys, de skinhead, noirs, blancs, peu importe. Et il n'y avait aucun problème de métissage.
Yeah, I'm a skinhead. What's wrong with that? I came to England 1960 and decided to try to better my career. I used to have skinheads coming to listen to me, to dance to me. I was playing the music that they wanted to hear, which was a skinhead reggae or ska. I used to be a skinhead with my pork pie hat and my suits and everything. And they used to have lots of black skinheads. But some of them now, some of them I don't know. Some of them get too old. Some of them going to church now. Some of them die. But they used to have lots of black skinheads. But they never fight against white skinheads, because in those days, people just go to a dance to have fun and dance till the morning comes. Ska started by boogie music from New Orleans in America. And we start experimenting by doing different things with the boogie music. And that's how ska came. And if you listen, probably you might be too young, but if you listen to some of the old rhythm and blues from America, you hear a guitar, a shuffle, a guitar shuffle. That is ska.
Ska music started in Jamaica. There was a great mixture of two influences. There was the rude boy and the sort of hard working class kids growing up. And what came out of the two was skinhead. And it was white and it was black. The two clashed only on the dance floor and only for the best of reasons. I never saw no sort of discrimination against the two of them ever. It's got such a contagious feel to it that nobody can give it up. As you hear it in the background, it has to make you move. You just have to like it. It's contagious. It's like some sort of disease. It spreads really quickly across the world, and I like it. It brings me to my childhood again. Dark clubs where you don't see nothing but movement and not much light.
At the time, the movement wasn't yet a racist movement, and although there was violence, it wasn't yet politically motivated. The image we have of skinheads is that of the neo-Nazis, but at the beginning of the 70s, extreme right-wing skinheads hadn't yet come onto the British scene. At the end of the 70s, with the economic crisis and the birth of the punk movement, street kids become more radical. They are attracted by the rebellious and provocative aspects of the skinhead look. A new generation emerges.
For me, I was happy to be a suede head, mod, skinhead, and mix amongst the whole three of them, because to me, suede head got more girls because he was more classier and more, do you understand, better dressed. Skinhead was more, I am staring at you and being provocative, and mod was, I'm on a scooter, but I still have the same ideals and dance to the same music, which is reggae and Stax, Tamla Motown, to all three cultures.
When I was young, I was quite thin and I was quite weak. You know, I wasn't a tough guy at all, but I wanted to be. You know, and that was the perfect image of a tough guy was a skinhead. And at that time, not many people had skinhead haircuts. The only people who really had skinhead haircuts were either people who are in the services, you know, in the army or something, or criminals. And I used to have a haircut called the hedgehog, which was basically spiky on top and long down the sides, and this was like a football hooligan cut. And I had that for a while, and then I shaved it off. And it was the first time I ever got stopped by the police. I was riding my push bike down the road. I was only about 13 or something, riding down the road on my sister on the back of the bike, and we're riding along, and the police stopped us. And I got searched. I got all my pockets emptied out and all that. And I was thinking, fucking hell, I never even spoken to a policeman until then. And then it was like, I was annoyed about it, but I was also quite proud about it. It was like, oh my God, you're grown up all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean? The police are interested in you, you know? Yeah, it was an initiation. And the thing that I really liked, looking back on it, was the bond that you got. Because you were so hated, you know, we were hated by everybody. You know, by school teachers, by our parents, by authorities of any type. You know, girls would love you, you know, because you were the bad boys, but they couldn't really take you home to meet their mum and dad, because their mum and dad would ban the girls from going out, you know, because they were with us, you know. And everybody had an attitude, everybody had an opinion about us. I mean, in 1980, every single day in the newspaper, you would have skinheads mug old ladies, skinheads beat up black people, skinheads riot somewhere, and anybody who broke the law at all became a skinhead immediately. And some people loved us, some people hated us, but we always got attention, you know, and it was an amazing feeling. You had a power.
Ouais, au début du mouvement, la violence, c'était entre des bandes, c'était... Bon, on voulait montrer aussi qu'on foutait le bordel, qu'on était là et qu'on se fait remarquer, quoi. Et maintenant, de nos jours, c'est vrai que la violence, elle est entre groupes de skins. Elle est souvent entre les racistes et les antiracistes. Et maintenant, je pense que c'est vraiment l'image de skin néo-nazi qui fait que les gens, quand ils entendent skinhead, ils n'ont pas vraiment envie de nous rencontrer ou sympathiser.
My name is Gavin Watson. I became a skinhead when I was 14 years of age. At the same time, I became very, very interested in photography. And the interest in photography, and of course, becoming 14, my rites of passage as a young man, both of those fused, and I started to take photographs of my friends and family from the age of about 14 onwards. I've had to be so careful with my work because, as you just said, the ideal of a skinhead is just, for most people, racist Nazis. You go trawl through the internet, all you'll ever see is skinheads attack so-and-so Romania, skinheads... So that's the whole... And it's such a vastly bigger culture than that. That's the cover of the book. That's getting quite famous now, used in there. But that was our... Well, that was basically our playground, wasn't it?
Yeah, what that was, that was an electric box. Because I remember we used to go up on that box and that looked over the park, didn't it? And you weren't allowed to climb up because they had like a barbed wire going up there.
And the Spencers used to jump off it.
Eventually fenced it off, didn't they?
That's just the Spencers.
Yeah. That was New Year's Eve, 1980, 81, that was, down at Piccadilly Circus, wasn't it?
Eros, statue Eros, so they'd walled it off.
I really fancied her. The only reason I'm in that picture is because I got my arm around her. She was gorgeous.
You did fancy
Beverly.
Didn't
Beverly,
you ever
her
get
name
off for
was.
Beverly?
No.
Later that night, we both got
I got mugged.
Stole his Crombie.
Yeah, bastards. That was my first proper fashion item. I saved up. My fucking nan gave me money. I saved up my paper round money. That was my first proper.
He was so proud of it.
Fucking fashion item, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I used to push it down. Everyone took the piss out of me.
He's like, yeah, hold it, 19 big crusty skinheads, just bang, give us your Crombie.
Every time I ever went to a gig, this geezer, he had a swastika on his hand, tattooed, Nazi written across his finger, and 5 dots there. And he was with this black geezer, and every time I ever went to a gig after that date, I looked for that fucker, and never did I find him.
This one I love. This is one that caused so much controversy about, oh, Nazis and this, that, and the rest of it. But it's basically Melvin fucking around, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they weren't Nazis, were they?
No. Well, the thing is, all that, I mean, Melvin was really a punk, and all the Nazi imagery came from Sid Vicious, wasn't it? Remember he wore the swastika T-shirt, because, you know, fuck off, the V sign, all that stuff, it meant nothing. But our parents were actually at war with the Nazis. Our grandfathers actually died in Europe fighting them, so this was the ultimate rebellion against the parents and against the last generation.
C'est Fred et donc j'ai démarré dans le mouvement il y a plus d'une vingtaine d'années, vers 78. C'était vraiment un mouvement de jeunes, on était tous issus du punk, avec les cheveux colorés, machin, on avait eu envie de s'amuser, de se défouler. Au bout d'un moment, ça peut lasser de se faire toujours prendre pour un clown. Donc redécouvrir quelque chose qui culturellement marche avec le punk, mais qui est beaucoup plus discret, et surtout beaucoup plus guerrier, c'est super. Le pas à franchir pour radicaliser ça, il est assez rapide à faire. C'est-à-dire que quelques-uns, comme ça venait d'Angleterre surtout, ont tout de suite donné un côté patriote. Ça se voit au niveau des matchs de foot, ça tout le monde connaît, les hooligans. Après du patriotisme à la xénophobie, il faut un tout petit peu plus de temps. Paradoxalement, à part le ska, les skinheads n'avaient pas de musique. Ils continuaient à écouter du punk. Mais le punk, ça chante l'anarchie. Il n'y avait pas une musique propre. Il y avait une musique ancienne, refaite. Il n'y a pas de musique propre. Et quelques groupes sont apparus, qu'on créé la Oi. Et ça, c'est la musique des skinheads. Enfin, il y avait une musique. Enfin, il y avait une musique avec des paroles adéquates. Et quand un groupe comme Screwdriver l'a joué avec excellence, tous les skinheads ont suivi. Mais c'était pas un groupe politique. Rien à dire. Un super album. Maintenant, les paroles commençaient à intelligemment orienter. Rien d'affirmé, rien d'antisémite, rien de pro-violence, rien de trop patriote. Des petites contestations sur la justice, des petites réflexions, et si on s'était trompé en 40. Alors ça, soutenu par une musique absolument mortelle, on continue, on suit. À la suite, c'est des morceaux très radicaux. White power, pouvoir aux blancs, etc. Mais bon, c'est trop tard à ce moment-là. Certains font le pas de sortir de ça, puis d'autres continuent, c'est tellement bien.
And the only man in the world that I would follow to the death came from Germany. I'm British and I'm proud to be here in Germany, and I really am proud to fucking be here in front of the Deutsch people. And I'd fucking like to dedicate this number to every one of you. Because without you, there would have been no Screwdriver. Because without Deutschland, without the German idea, without National Socialism, Screwdriver would never have existed.
Screwdriver, a former punk group, provokes the break. Ian Stewart, the singer who is a nationalist extremist, creates the rift. White Noise is born with its fascist style, black jackets, shaved heads, swastikas, brutality, and extreme violence. The Nazi skins are born, and the grandsons of Rudolf Hess spread throughout Europe.
It was music, it was hundreds of skinheads getting together, having a good night out. It had its political side in the sense that the songs were political, a lot of them, but the songs were about being white, being working class, about being downtrodden. It was all our unsaid thoughts coming out. The first time I ever met Ian Stewart, I was travelling on a subway train, and we got talking, and I think maybe in a couple of years till we met again, but I always remembered that meeting because Ian was such a charismatic person. He had such a personality about him that it really took hold of you. Even if it was only for a few minutes talking to you, you could never forget that meeting. It made you feel like you wanted to do stuff. My name's Derek O'Connor. I'm 42 now, and I've been a skinhead always in my heart since 1970. I think it's an attitude in life, something that's in your heart that you always feel there. For some people, being a skinhead's been about fashion, or the music, or about politics. For me, it's been about the whole thing. It's been my whole life. It's been my whole life for maybe 22 years. White power to me means believing in my heart that we are different, that we deserve to survive as a race. I can stand in the street and look at people still around me and feel different. And I think that's an important thing, to feel different from other people, from the sheep in the crowd. It gives you a feeling of being someone.
Some of the skinheads become racist fighters. Politics tap into these energies. The extreme right-wing parties appropriate the music. The British National Party and the National Front actively support Screwdriver. Fights break out at each concert. Ian Stewart and his group are banished from the music industry. He then creates a movement, Blood and Honor, financed by the sale of records, CDs, and T-shirts. White power makes a name for itself on the international scene. For the skinheads, nothing will ever be the same.
Ian Stewart Donaldson, who died 2 weeks ago in a car crash, was buried last Monday. 6 months ago, we profiled the neo-fascists as part of our live debate on racism.
This is the face of fascist rock. Ian Stewart Donaldson wants immigrants kicked out of Europe, believes handicapped people should be gassed, and thinks Hitler was a hero. His band Screwdriver are Europe's most infamous neo-Nazi band.
Bah, un skin extrémiste, ouais, c'est quelque chose sur lequel je peux pas répondre. Pour la bonne et simple raison que pour moi, un skin d'extrême droite, c'est... Il n'y a pas skinhead parce qu'il y a une contradiction dans le fait qu'il soit raciste et...
Moi, personnellement, j'écoute pas de rack, j'aime déjà pas la rue, donc je vais pas en plus me mettre au rack. Bon, c'est pas à ignorer non plus, ça existe, c'est là, mais... J'aime pas spécialement, je m'ouvre pas dessus, je vais pas au concert, quoi.
Moi, je crois qu'il faut pas se leurrer et il faut pas être hypocrite. Je sais contre quoi je lutte et en l'occurrence, oui, j'ai déjà écouté certains de ces groupes auxquels j'ai été confronté parce que de toute façon, à partir du moment où on est skin, on est confronté un jour ou l'autre à soit un groupe ambigu, soit un groupe ouvertement raciste. Donc voilà, ça va pas plus loin.
Well, my name's Roddy Moreno. I'm the singer with Cardiff oi band The Oppressed. We're an anti-fascist skinhead band, not through choice, but because of fascist skinheads, we've been forced to make a stand and be an anti-fascist skinhead band. Do you want to come in? Thanks. That's me, my brother Dominic. Duncan now lives in New Zealand. Ahmed, top guy. My other brother Adrian. And that's Mac. He was the old fella. He was the one who could really play saxophone. We played about 3-4 gigs.
Only?
Yeah, and fell apart. In one of our first concerts, somebody started Z-giling. So we stopped the song. We told them, knock it on the head. Don't do it. We're not fascist. We hate racists. You've been warned. Halfway through the next song, same thing. Guys he guiles. So we leave the stage to have a quiet word with him. The boys who follow us had a louder word with him. And from that moment on, we'd made our stand like. We won't have racists at our concerts. We won't have people Z-giling at our concerts. It was our way of letting everyone out there know The Oppressed are an anti-racist skinhead band. To us, skinheads was just simply about being working class, being proud of yourself, and knowing where you come from. So when later on, right-wing politics started seducing young, impressionable skinheads, it didn't make sense to us, which is why we wanted nothing to do with it. If you're a racist, you can't be a skinhead. Because skinheads wouldn't exist without Jamaica. So to deny the culture which is why, eventually, we call them boneheads, because they're not skinheads. They're boneheads, we're skinheads. We look at them as a totally different... But obviously, the world outside think we're all the same, which is why, when I found this sharp flyer in New York, I come back to Britain and decided to use my renown, if you like. I knew there were skinheads around the world, knew who I was. Sent out badges and flyers to everyone I could think of. Went to concerts, handing them out. People eventually started writing in. I'd send back to them saying, use the Sharp logo. If you do a concert, make it a Sharp concert. If you do a disco, make it a Sharp disco. So people can see on the poster, skinheads against racial prejudice, and it'll make them stop and think.
Politics invade the movement. Rivalry sets in between anti-racists and racists. As a reaction to Blood and Honor, the anti-racists become mobilized. Each group tries to chase the other from the scene, each withdrawing to their respective bunkers.
Sweden, where everybody is allowed to say what they want, as long as they don't speak against the fucking Jews.
Ja, good, nou ja. Dat is al mijn ding. Zo.
Sharp. Sharp skins must die. Sharp skins must die. The communists.
Yeah. The first thing you don't sweat nothing.
We are people. White people.
White power music for us is a reaction against the crap music who's coming from the USA, who's produced in Europe, the so-called techno music and all the influence from the niggers and everything, the ethnical influence in the music. Our music is plain rock and roll, you know. You don't need to be good to play. It's only to get out the anger and the hate and the frustration, you know. It's a kind of dynamite music. This is a desperate situation. We are only 6 to 8% of the world population is so-called white. People like me who have lost his wife, his job, the social life, everything, it's the government who have done it, create me like I am today, because I'm not free to speak and say what I want. If this is a democracy, I'm fucking glad that I'm a National Socialist and I want to kill and destroy this society. I hate the democracy.
Sham would play a particular gig, and there would be fascist skinheads at the gig, Zeke, I was laughing. They knew that I was for real. It wasn't some guy standing there and going, no, you mustn't do that. It was me going, you look really stupid to me because what you're doing is a retro hybrid of something that was pure and you have stained it for life. You have made every skinhead now look like whether you are not or you are a fascist part of a system.
Portrayed as diabolical by the media, in a society in the throes of globalization, the two branches of the skinhead movement continue to develop underground. From west to east, the skinhead subculture is the object of opposition, hatred, and rejection, marginalized to the extreme, somewhere between punk and paria.
Sometimes better, but always anti-fascist.